11 videos, 11 tools, 3 tiers. Let me walk back through what we've built together. Tier 1, the foundation. Video 1, why this model exists. Jesus is the engine, we build the rails. Our job is not to change people, it's to keep them connected to the one who does. Video 2, the 7 questions in order. The question 4, question 5 pivot. Adapt the language, preserve the movement. Video 3, the fourfold liberation ministry. Inner healing, soul purification, physical healing, release from demonic oppression. Know all 4, follow where Jesus leads. Tier 2, running the model. Video 4, your role as servant leader, shepherd, not healer. 5 specific practices for creating space without filling it. Video 5, the 5-step journey. God's design, the infection, the soul liberator, the conversation, liberation. The map every servant leader must know by heart. Video 6, leading small groups. Set the culture in the first 5 minutes. Handle what comes up. Know the youth dynamics. Video 7, prayer ministry in all 4 areas. Diagnose first, pray specifically, follow the 5-minute post-prayer protocol. Tier 3, measuring and sustaining. Video 8, the measurement system. 3 indices, 3 time points. Low scores are a rail problem, not a people problem. Video 9, the 90-day follow-up. 3 rails before departure. Local pastor briefed. Daily rhythm card. Scheduled check-in. Build the rails before the camp begins. Video 10, the 5R lifeline, the storm rail. 5 beats of running to Jesus when the old pull returns, not a self-managed technique. The lifeline within the daily rhythm. 11 videos, 11 tools, each one buildable, teachable, and reproducible in any context. A Bible study, a men's retreat, a ladies' retreat, a youth camp, a small group, a pastor's fellowship, or a jail ministry. And now the 11, the one that turns everything you've learned from a training you've completed into a movement you're part of. There's a difference between a practitioner and a multiplier. A practitioner is someone who does the work. They have the skills, the tools, the framework. Every camp they run well. The seeker they minister to experiences genuine encounter with Jesus. The rails hold, the fruit lasts. A practitioner serves the people who come to their camp. A multiplier is someone who trains other practitioners. Every person they train runs their own camp, ministers to their own participants, builds their own rails. The fruit multiplies through people the multiplier will never personally meet. A multiplier serves the people who will never come to their camp. The Father's mission in Habakkuk 2:14, the earth filled with the knowledge of His glory, isn't accomplished by one camp at one retreat center, no matter how excellent. It's accomplished by hundreds of leaders, running hundreds of camps and hundreds of communities, all built on the same engine, all using the same rails, all measuring whether Jesus moved and building stronger rails when He didn't. You became a practitioner over the last 9 videos. This video invites you to become a multiplier. And what you've heard from me, in the presence of many witnesses, in trust of faithful men who will be able to teach others also. 2 Timothy 2:2. 4 generations in one verse. Paul, Timothy, faithful men, others also. This is the biblical architecture of multiplication. What was entrusted is to be entrusted again, not kept, not hoarded, not made dependent on the original source, passed on. Go therefore, make disciples of all nations, teaching them to observe all I have commanded you. Matthew 28:19 and 20. The Great Commission is a multiplication mandate, not a performance mandate. Go and make disciples, people who can then go and make disciples. The soul liberation model is designed to be a vehicle for this, not creating dependency on Coastal Hope Retreat, but releasing the model into every community that'll receive it. You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the end of the earth. Acts 1:8. Jerusalem first, your immediate context. Then Judea and Samaria, the surrounding region. Then the end of the earth. Multiplication moves in expanding circles. You begin with the leaders you know. They train the leaders they know. And the model moves outward until it reaches communities that no one at Little Coastal Hope Retreat, Antipolo to Buron, Philippines, has ever visited. How do you train someone to run this model? Not through a seminar, not by giving them access to this video series alone, through a 4-stage mentoring pathway. Each stage has a specific purpose. Each stage prepares the trainee for the next. And a leader who's been through all 4 stages is a leader who can run the model independently and begin training others. Stage 1, observe. Watch a practitioner run the model. What happens? The trainee attends a camp or retreat as an observer. They're not leading anything. They're watching everything. How does a leader introduce the 5 steps? How do they handle the 7 questions in a group? How do they pray in a specific liberation area? How do they handle what comes up unexpectedly? A trainer's role? Debrief with the trainee after each session. Not a lecture, a conversation. What did you notice? What questions do you have? What would you have done differently? The debrief is where the observation becomes learning. Stage 2, assist, contribute under supervision. What happens? The trainee takes on specific roles in a camp led by the trainer. They lead one small group session. They pray with one participant in one liberation area. They administer the measurement instrument and debrief the scores. Each role is bounded and supervised. Trainer's role? Stay close. Not to correct in real time. That undermines a trainee's confidence in front of seekers. Debrief thoroughly afterwards. Name specifically what they did well before addressing what to develop. Confidence is a prerequisite for effectiveness. Stage 3, lead with trainer present. Lead the camp with the trainer available. What happens? The trainee leads the full camp. The trainer's present but not leading. Their role is to observe, to be available if something comes up that exceeds the trainee's current capacity, and to provide a full debrief afterwards. The trainer's role? Resist the urge to step in. The trainee needs to discover their own capacity, and they can't do that if the trainer steps in at the first sign of difficulty. Unless something genuinely beyond the trainee's capacity is happening, stay silent and let them lead. Debrief comprehensively afterwards. Stage 4, lead independently. Run the model in their own context. What happens? The trainee runs the model independently in their own church, camp, or community. They build their own rails. They administer their own measurement. They brief their own local pastors and schedule their own 90-day check-ins. The trainer's role? Stay connected but not controlling. A quarterly check-in. Access to the measurement data if the trainee wants a second perspective on low scores. Celebration of what Jesus is doing through the model in their context. The trainer's job at this stage is encouragement and availability, not management. 4 stages, not one seminar, not a certification class, a relationship in which a practitioner becomes a multiplier through supervised, progressively independent experience. The standard for completing stage 4 is simple. The trainee has run the model independently at least once and has begun identifying someone they could train through stage 1. The most important decision in scaling process is who you train first. Most leaders instinctively look for the most competent person in their network. The most articulate, the most experienced, the one who already has leadership credibility. I want to suggest a different criterion. Look for the most hungry. Competence can be developed through the 4 stages. Hunger can't be installed. A highly competent leader who isn't hungry for what Jesus does in liberation ministry will run the model as a program, competently, but without the faith that produces lasting fruit. A hungry leader who's less polished will make more mistakes in stages 1 and 2. They'll also follow Jesus into more wounds, pray with more faith, and produce more genuine encounter because they're more interested in what Jesus does than in how they look while he's doing it. Look for hunger for what Jesus does, not just for leadership opportunity. Genuine care for people that shows in how they listen, not just how they speak. Willingness to be corrected without defensiveness. A community they're already embedded in who will receive the model. Personal experience of what Jesus does in liberation ministry, ideally as a seeker first. Be cautious about high competence without personal encounter with Jesus as soul liberator. Enthusiasm for the model as a program without genuine pastoral heart. Leaders who are already overextended with no capacity to absorb a new model. Isolation. A leader with no community to return to will run the model in a vacuum. Defensiveness to feedback. Stage 2 and 3 require significant debriefing. The right trainee isn't the most impressive person you know. It's the most ready person you know. And ready usually looks like hungry, embedded in community, willing to be corrected, and personally familiar with what Jesus does in the wounded soul. I want to show you what happens when the model scales. You train one leader. They run the model in their church and their city. They train another leader. That leader runs the model in a different community. Each camp touches 20 to 40 participants or more. Each participant takes home a daily rhythm card, a 5R lifeline card, and a local pastor who's been briefed. In 5 years, 10 trained leaders running 4 camps each year are touching 800 seekers or more annually. Each seeker's 90-day score tells the trainer whether the rail's held, and each score is a lesson that makes the next camp stronger. In 10 years, those 10 leaders have trained 30 more, 40 leaders, thousands of seekers, communities in which the knowledge of what Jesus does in liberation ministry isn't confined to a retreat center in Cebu, but is living in local churches, local pastors, local families. That's Habakkuk 2:14, not as a poster verse, as a measurable outcome. The earth being filled with the knowledge of His glory. One camp, one seeker, one trained leader at a time. The soul liberation model is designed for exactly this. Every component is teachable. Every tool is transferable. The measurement system tells you whether it's working. The 4-stage mentoring pathway produces new practitioners who produce new practitioners. Jesus is the engine. The rails travel wherever his children build them, and those children are now you, and the leaders you'll train, and the leaders they'll train after you. And what you've heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. 2 Timothy 2:2. Entrust it. Don't keep it. Don't make yourself the bottleneck. Entrust it to faithful people who will entrust it to others. That's how the earth gets filled. 11 videos. You came as someone who wanted to lead liberation ministry well. You leave as someone who knows why the model works, because Jesus is the engine. And your job's to build rails that keep seekers connected to Him. How to map every seeker's experience. God's design, the infection, the soul liberator, the conversation, liberation. What Jesus does in every liberation area, and how to follow Him into any wound. And how to be present without taking over. Ask without over asking. And pray specifically into the specific place Jesus is already opening. How to create a group culture where honesty is possible and Jesus is expected. How to measure what matters and how to use the data to build stronger rails. How to make sure that what Jesus started at camp takes root in the 90 days that follow. And how to train others to do all of it. That's not a small thing. That's the full operating system of a liberation ministry that produces lasting fruit. And I want to leave you with what this has always been about. Somewhere in the world right now, there's a young person in a far country. They're carrying a wound that willpower can't touch and religion hasn't reached. They're managing, barely, and they've almost stopped believing that what they need is actually available. They need a servant leader who knows the map, who can ask the right question and then be quiet, who can follow Jesus into the specific wound He's opening and pray with specific faith into the specific place He's already moving. They need someone who built the rails before they arrived, who briefed the local pastor before they left, who will follow up in 90 days to see whether the fruit is lasting. They need someone who is trained to do all of that by someone who is trained to do all of that. They need you. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the seas. Habakkuk 2:14. That's not a distant hope. It's the Father's promise. And it's fulfilled through leaders who build excellent rails. Trust the engine, measure whether he's moved, and train the next person to do the same. Go, build the rails, trust the engine, train the next person. The earth is waiting to be filled. This is Pastor Keith at Coastal Hope Retreat, Antipolo, Taburan, Cebu, Philippines. May the Lord make His face shine upon you until we meet again.